What's up, weirdos? Welcome back to my channel. If you couldn't tell, I'm trying a different kind of setup today. I don't know. How's it going? Is it weird? Is it fine? I would love to know. My name's Felicia, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button, especially if you like horror movies. And today we're doing my very first ever Patreon requested video. So I got a Patreon at the beginning of January. It's been really fun. I'll link it down below if you're interested in checking it out. Today we're talking about a recommendation from my good pal Steve, and that is Pyewacket. Also, if you see a fluffy little thing moving around, that would be Toby. Say hello. Hello. So I had never heard of this movie. It came out in 2017. It's a Canadian horror film, and honestly, I'm so glad you recommended it, Steve, because it was kind of awesome. It's a movie about a teenager with all the angst. Oh my god, so much angst. She has a lot of problems with her mom, and she goes into the woods and performs a little occult ritual that, you know, has some dire consequences. For a little background, I googled Pyewacket on the internet, and this is what I found. It's a witch's familiar spirit described as an imp, which is like a fairy or a demon. This was documented in 1644 by witch finder Matthew Hopkins. Thank you, Wikipedia. So, what I loved about this movie is that it felt really real. Like, it was a very simple story with very realistic characters. It's one of those more slow burn movies, so you don't see the Pyewacket for like a long time. I personally like that because it builds the suspense really, really well. You see a lot of what leads up to the Pyewacket being conjured, and then you see a lot of people's reactions to it, which is always really scary. And then when you finally do see it, it comes in multiple forms, which is like very confusing for the characters, and so they're trying to figure out what's real and what's not. And then there's always the question of maybe she's just going crazy, or maybe she's not. I also really liked our protagonist, Leah, played by Nicole Munoz. I thought she was a really like honest to God teenager. Like, she literally reminded me of someone I went to high school with. She loses her father, which is where her fascination with the occult starts, and then her mom's like really going through it. She wants to take her out of the school she's in. She wants to take her to a new house, new school, new life, and this girl's like can't handle it. She's freaking out. And then because she's a kid and she takes things too far, she says things she doesn't mean and all that, she sort of gets herself in trouble. Yeah, don't play with the occult, kids. Just not worth it. Now, let's go ahead and get to some ratings. So for the scare, I'm giving it a 3. I actually was pretty creeped out by this movie. And there was one particular manifestation of the Pyewacket that actually made me jump, and I was like, oh. I think I said, oh my god, out loud, which is, you know, how you know it's really scary. The gore gets a 2. There's not really that much blood. The cheese for me gets a 1. Like, it's a pretty straightforward horror movie, and there's nothing really cheesy about it. It feels really, really rooted in realism, which is what makes it that much scarier for me. Overall, this one gets a 3 for me. I actually really enjoyed it. I love teenagers. I love like ritual, and I love like demons. So this movie had a lot of stuff that I really enjoy in it. And I thought they used the simplicity of the story in a really useful way. They didn't try to throw in a bunch of other stuff to make it interesting. They were like, this is what happened, and then you just watch it play out. Sure, it wasn't like groundbreaking or like blow my mind horror movie, but I think it's definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it. And now let's go ahead and get to some spoilers. Okay, the moment that actually made me freak out a little bit was when the Pyewacket was like on the side of the house, and it was sort of manifested in this like spider-like woman creature thing. It was so freaky because the movement of the creature was so out of the norm. Like, the film is so realistic that when I saw this creature moving in this like very strange way, it was so unsettling. I was like, it just felt so wrong, and I was like, whoa. That was crazy. And then the ending. I thought the ending was just like really, really smart. The girl ends up killing her own mother because she thinks it is the Pyewacket, because the Pyewacket presented itself as her dead mother in the woods. So she thought her mother was already dead, and she thought she was fighting a demon, but she was actually just fighting her actual mother and just like burned her alive. It was crazy. It was epic, and I was like, that was a solid ending for this movie. Overall, I definitely recommend you guys checking this one out. It's a really simplistic conjuring demon movie. It's just to the point, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much, Steve, for recommending it to me. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon, I will put that down below, and have a nice screen. Bye.